Hello and welcome to today's webinar presented by Aditya Bainkar sir. I hope you will get a lot of knowledge. It is interesting and you will enjoy it.
.0. But in order to be able to supplement and augment Industry 4.0, there is a need of Education 4.0. And in fact, we are moving towards Industry 5. So very soon we'll have to also come up with Education 5.0. There is good need of blending industrial thought process with academic thought process. And in my opinion, this is the most opportune time we are talking about this because of the new national education policy in place. Academic sector was never so open for blended programs, for joint degree programs, for bringing in internships, for bringing in industrial partnership, and so on and so forth. And although we have Stand Up India and Digital India and Make in India and rest of the programs from government, unless and until we have a very open-minded, very flexible policy at academic and educational sector, we may not be able to fuel the rest of the programs. And that's why NEP was the need of the hour. And now we can think of creating that ecosystem. And once we have that ecosystem in place, because picture is made up of dots, then we can shift the gears and we can make it go from not working to networking. We can bring in mentors from industry partners, which are both technical mentors and business mentors. And by virtue of doing so, we can make our research more and more applied. We can have the incubators in place. We can think of creating intellectual property. We can have nice IPRs in place. We can have the technology transfer offices in place. And the creative thinking and the smart approach will help create that end-to-end ecosystem. However, we need to accept this with a pinch of salt. And I would like to give you one example why majority startups they don't really take off. In 2008, when Barack Obama became the president of US, he announced a big package of some 20 odd millions to the best 100 entrepreneurs in US. And the idea was to bring startup ideas and bring startup ideas. And they did the evaluation after 2 years. And you'll be surprised to know out of the 100 ideas which were supported by this Obama package, not a single idea became a success story. So it is important to learn from mistakes. It's important to celebrate failures. In Marathi, there is a saying, they say, अपयश ही यशाची पहिली पायरी आहे. Your failure is your first step towards success. However, we should also understand that your second failure is not your second step towards success. दुसरं अपयश ही कधीच यशाची दुसरी पायरी नसते. So it's important to learn from the mistakes, provide the feedback, and bring upon improvements and enhancement. All of this can be put together in a single word, and that word is research. It is extremely important to have research culture. It is extremely important to really step out of our comfort zone and try out new things. It's important to celebrate failures. Without failures, we will not be able to carve out newer pathways. And that's why research and having that research culture in place is extremely important. It's important because this is, again, like I said, this is the most opportune time. Industry 4.0, the national new educational policy in place. And so all the three Ks are going to be extremely important. Know what leading us to knowledge, know how leading us to skill sets, and know why leading us to vantage. And if you're smart enough, we can convert that vantage into an advantage. So all the three plays are going to play important role. Adaptation is going to be key, and we can really think of bringing back the research culture. As I mentioned towards the beginning, research is no more a luxury, it has become an absolute necessity. And to be very honest with you, if we look at the culture of our country, we had research culture in our country. All our scriptures, they are in the form of dialogues. It's not one way traffic. These are not monologues, these are dialogues. For example, Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Krishna and Arjun, or Ashtavakra Gita is a dialogue between sage Ashtavakra and King Janak, or Chandogya Upanishad is a dialogue between Shvetaketu and Uddalakaruna. It's very important to ask interesting questions. Curiosity and inquisitiveness should be at the heart of it. And unless we end up asking searching questions, we may not be able to reignite and bring back that research culture. And unless we have research culture, we will not have differentiating characteristics. And if we don't have differentiating characteristics, it's very important to understand that we may not have product companies in our country. If I give you one example, and let's take an example of one of the fastest growing sectors in our country that brings in maximum foreign currency revenue back in our country, and that is IT sector. And if I ask you which is the biggest Indian company of Indian origin in IT sector, then we know the answer. The answer is TCS, and it stands for Tata Consultancy Services. So in the very name, we announce that hey, we are predominantly into providing services. You look at rest of and Wipro and Persistent and KPIT and Zensar. Majority of these companies, they're predominantly into providing services. And from services to solutions to tools to frameworks to applications and finally into products, it's a long journey. And if we really want to have product companies in our country, it's important to bring back the research culture. It's important to bring back the inquisitiveness and curiosity. And unless we do that in academic sector, we may not be able to pass it on and disseminate it to our industry partners. So it's very important to bring back that research culture in academia. Just to sensitize all of you as to how insensitive we have gone to this art of asking interesting questions. I will just share a couple of teasers with all of you. And I typically share these teasers with my students because these teasers, they are connected with two of the most fundamental entities. One is time and the other one is space. And just to save the time, I will drop the time teaser and I will just talk about the space teaser. And in fact, this is the question that I used to ask as a small kid. And that question is, why do we get odd number of days in the month of February? Is it not really strange that suddenly in the second month of our calendar, we stumble upon with odd number of days? If I do the adjustment in the last months, if I stumble upon with odd number of days in December, it's understood. Why suddenly in the second month, February, do we get odd number of days? And I work in the field of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So we write algorithms which are iterative. And we say iteration after iteration, the algorithm marches on towards the optimum solution. So there is this popular saying in English, they say march on towards your target. They never say January on. There are marching songs in army, for example. So let's play a game. Let March be the first month of our new calendar system, and then April and May. And as we are in the seventh month, in Sanskrit, seven is Sapt, and from that we get September. And eight is Asht, and from that we get October. Nine is Navam, that gives us November. And 10 is Dasham, and that gives us December. And now February becomes the 12th and the last month. So it makes sense to have a number of days in Feb, provided we start our calendar by around March. We recently had 21st of March, which is also an equinox, Sampath, equal hours for day and roughly equal hours for night. So it makes a lot of sense. It's also very logical. If you look around in nature, you will realize that the trees, they start to blossom by around this time. In Marathi, we call it as Vasanta Rutu, and we celebrate Vasanta Panchami. So it makes sense to have the start of the year by around March. If you look at all the conventional systems, they also suggest the same. And yet, not just bunch of us on this digital call, but the entire universe follows this crazy looking calendar. Is it not really strange? What could be the reason? Well, keep thinking about it. We can spill the bins towards the end, but the larger point that I'm really trying to bring out is somewhere we have lost this art of asking interesting questions. Sometimes my students they argue and say, "Sir, so what? We follow a crazy calendar system. It has not done any harm to us." So to convince them more, I give them one quick example, and this example is of the capital cities. Before the British came, we had Pune and Satara and Kolhapur as the capital cities of Maharashtra. And the British, they moved it to Mumbai because for them, it was the most convenient mode of commutation. And then, without even thinking about the consequences, we kept it at Mumbai. And today, instead of investing, we have vested crores and crores of rupees just to build infrastructure there. Or if you move a little down south, we had great capital city in the form of Mysore, and then it got shifted to Bangalore, which has now become Bengaluru. For any good city to progress and prosper, you need to have river, you need to have water next to the city. And the only exception to this rule is city of Bangalore. There is no river next to Bangalore, and there are four states fighting the Kaveri issue. And again, instead of investing, we have wasted crores and crores of rupees just to provide supply of water to Bengaluru. Pune is so fortunate that we have confluence of two rivers, Mula and Mutha. कदाचित म्हणूनच पुणेकरांना मुळातूनच आडमुठे म्हणतात की काय कोणास ठाऊक त्या पाण्यातच काहीतरी असेल. But you have to have river next to any city for it to progress and prosper. So we need to have thinking manpower. And what can really bring that back is the research culture. And most of the inventions and discoveries, if we see, they have happened by serendipity. They appear to be accidents. And I'll quickly share with you story of three idiots. Today we know that in era of IoT, most of the engineering solutions they work on the brilliant basis function that was given to us by Fourier, who told us that for any LSI system, if you excite the system with a complex exponential of a known frequency, what comes out is the same complex exponential with the same frequency. And so it becomes the eigenfunction of your system that produces instantaneous eigenvalues. And when put together, they become the discrete Fourier transform. But what is so special about this constant E? And I will share with you a story of three idiots. Not this, because you have already seen this, but again in my story, there are three idiots, and by idiots, we mean genius scientists. And the first one, by the way, this is a black and white story because it happened in 16th century. And the first one is Dr. Bernoulli, who accidentally invented this constant T. And he said, if the formula for compound interest is 1 plus 1 upon n bracket raised to n, how about applying limits so that n tends to infinity? And if you solve this, this gives us an irrational constant. And when you approximate it, it becomes 2.7183. And that's precisely what is known to us as this exponential constant. And then this, all our systems become orthogonal. And then Dr. Fourier, who was only and consistently thinking about only sine waves and cos waves. And it's the culmination of thought process put together by these three genius scientists that we have today a very sound kernel function or the basis function, a complex exponential. The first order derivative is still a complex exponential. The first level of integral is still a complex exponential. Very sound kernel, which becomes the heart and soul of majority of the engineering systems that we produce even in modern era. So most of the inventions and discoveries are apparent accidents, and the accidents are bound to happen. But one has to walk the path first, and for walking the path, one has to see the path, and then the sweet accidents are bound to happen. The same thing happened with Google. And I love this Google example because we often talk about how school dropouts made it big. Now, this is an example where two PhD scholars from Stanford, they came up with a PageRank algorithm, and that algorithm eventually became google.com. So that uh, reinforces our trust in educational system. Even highly educated people can make it big when it comes to entrepreneurship, but you have to be visionary. And Google were really ahead of their time. They were pushing the envelope, and they literally pushed all of us to enter in an era of big data analytics. And that's why all the business ventures in the modern era, they are driven by the data. It could be Ola and Uber, it could be Bitcoin. You name a modern business venture, it is driven by the data and crowdsourcing at the heart of it. And Google were able to push the envelope in that direction. A case of serendipity. If we go a little back in history, the great case of a chemist, Rontgen, who was working with radioactive materials and he had broken marriage. And his wife accidentally put her hand on one of the radioactive materials, and the first modern picture of X-ray got captured. You can Google about it, and you will see hand of Rontgen's wife. You can also see the wedding ring in one of the fingers. Another accident, serendipity, and a great invention, a great discovery came into existence. And see the honesty of the scientist. Dr. Ranjan said, I don't know what kind of rays are these. They are not completely characterized yet. So let's call them some rays X rays. And even today, we call them as X rays. He could have easily called them as Rontgen rays or R rays, but see the honesty and integrity of the great genius scientist. Another case of serendipity was Ramanujan, another genius mind. And he said 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 going all the way till infinity. What would it be? And we can say, hey, it would be infinite, isn't it? And Ramanujan came up with a crazy idea. And he said, no, this will be equal to minus 1 over 12. And people across the globe thought that, hey, probably he's not well trained in mathematics or he has no clue what is he talking about. But today we know that if you look at Riemann's hypothesis, and a very special case of Riemann's hypothesis, if you plug in zeta value to be equal to minus 1, that gives us this genius discovery by Ramanujan. A great story again. A lord from London had gone to the outskirts of London in his chariot, and his chariot got stuck in a mud. And a farmer came forward and he helped him. He took his chariot out of the mud. And the Lord wanted to thank the farmer. So he said, I will educate your son. So he offered education to the son of the farmer. And the son of the farmer later on became a genius scientist in medical research. And later on, the son of this lord was critically ill. And this scientist came forward and he said, I'm working on a drug which is not yet certified, but can I try it out on your son? And he was allowed. And it saved the life of son of this lord. We are talking about two geniuses again. The son of the farmer is Alexander Fleming, and he came up with penicillin, and that saved life of Winston Churchill, who was the son of the Lord, who then went on to become the Prime Minister of London. Another brilliant case of serendipity. Yet another example from our own country, the Tatas. We know that J.R.D. Tata was a true visionary. He was the first aviator. He holds the first CPL license of our country, and he created Tata Airlines, which later on he sold it to our government, and it became Air India. But he was truly ahead of time. In this historical picture, you can see a bomber plane that was created for our Air Force, and that was handed over to our country. We can also see a very young Ratan Tata in the picture, and of course, the great J.R.D. Tata right at the center. And you need to bring that research culture back. Only then we'll be able to produce product companies in our country. Like I said, the serendipity will happen. Sweet technical accidents are bound to happen. One has to walk the path first. And for walking the path, one has to see the path. And for seeing the path, it's important to challenge of it. It's important to go out on a limb. It's important to step out of our comfort zone. And the only spectrum, only realm that really gives us this ability to get rid of any and every kind of shackle, ask any question, no question is a stupid question, is research. And that's why let's bring back the research culture, happy researching. And when we do so, we'll start walking our paths. And then many sweet technical accidents are then bound to happen, leading to innovations, incubations, startups, and many product companies in our country. On that note, I will call it quits. Thank you so very much for your attention. I truly appreciate this opportunity, and I'll be more than happy to take the questions if there are any. Thank you.
Audience, any questions are there? Please.
Deshmukh sir, Shurkar here again. Thank you, Aditya sir.
Thank you,
What
sir.
you said, मुळा आणि मुठा असं काही नव्हतं सर. खूप छान लेक्चर झालं. आडमुठेपणा काहीच नव्हता. But my concern,
Thank
see,
you.
right now everybody talking about innovation, incubation, startup, and everything. Working in this
Yes.
from last 35 years, and has actually witnessed with the four generations, 85 to
Hmm.
2021. And unfortunate part is what we are totally converting to exam system only.
True.
When the students are not using the thing. So what we should do to break this ice now, sir? Then and only we can think about the innovation and
Uh,
everything.
yes. Professor Shiurkar sir has asked a very important question, and he has seen generations of students. And this is a very practical and very pragmatic difficulty he has brought out. I totally agree with you. Earlier, our system was very rigid, and there was very little scope to deviate from a very typical kind of exam pattern that we used to get. I totally agree, sir. But like I said, this is the most opportune time. Now we have NEP, the National Educational Policy in place. We can bring in the concepts from Bloom's taxonomy. Earlier, the examinations, they used to be only oriented, but now we can make it more and more conceptual. There is concept of project based learning. We know the typical example that happened in 1951, wherein Dr. Fano was offering a course in information security at MIT and Purdue. And he said, if someone can crack this project, then you don't need to write the NSEM examination. And that's how Shannon Fano codes were replaced by Huffman, because Huffman was their student and he came up with crazy concept. He came up with a crazy style of coding. So this is very important in academia. Now there are opportunities for institutes to become autonomous. The affiliation system will keep decreasing. The institutions, they will get more freedom, more autonomy, and we can truly be able to execute the Bloom's taxonomy, moving from memorization to conceptualization. We can bring in the modern concepts like project-based learning and so on and so forth. So the education is now going to become more fun. We can make use of digital platforms. We can do the blending of the convention system with the recent digital systems. So I think these are the most exciting times. What is important is to bring in the change in the mindset and the mentality of the professors, because only when the process, we people, when we take it seriously, only then the policies will get executed. Otherwise, it will remain only on paper. So, sir, let's come together and let's create a mindset so that we'll be able to make good use of this NEP. And thank you for asking that very important question. Hope that answers your question, sir.
Yes, sir, yes.
Partially, we know that path is difficult ahead, but let's come together and let's do
Yes,
it
sir.
together.
What I'm just witnessing, we just consider how many students are cracking out the GATE examination.
Hmm.
When we say about the MBA or the outcome-based education, and in his GATE is audit for the student for what he's studying 4 years. And unfortunate part is what very less students from our Maharashtra are cracking the GATE examination.
Right.
Forget about
We
the
should
topper
encourage more
rank.
and more students. Correct. Correct. We should have faculty members. See, sir, when our education becomes conceptual, I'm sure more students will be able to crack the GATE examination, which is very conceptual. And we should train our students in that direction right from the beginning. Having said that, it's also important to bring back that research culture in IITs. I mean, IITs should not produce BTechs so that they become raw material for Purdue's and MITs. Students should really feel like doing masters and PhDs in our own country. And IITs are the premium institutes of our country. We should also have very strong research culture, which is happening now. And students and the intellectual force really feel like pursuing their higher education in our own country, which is also equally important. So cracking the gate examination is important, and making sure that the focus, sir, otherwise, if we really create a person who is interested in research, unless until there are product companies in our country, the service sector may not keep that person interested, and then that person will eventually land up somewhere in Western countries. We should also not let that happen. And it's an ecosystem. The picture is made up of dots. So let's start putting the dots in place in education, and I'm sure the picture will start coming up.
Great, sir. Great.
But $1 million questions. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Shivakar sir, for another interesting question. And this is really becoming a very good, healthy interaction to trigger research culture in engineering colleges, which is the need of an hour. I just acknowledge the presence of J.G. Bapat sir, who is a senior instrumentation industry expert who has worked in steel industry, and he drives our automatic control and robotic division ISA USA as the director. If Bapat sir is there, can you just say hello to Aditya Abhankar sir? Maybe permits we meet him sometimes. In case Bapat sir is there, can you just unmute the mic? Maybe
Bapat
he's
sir,
not there.
namaste. Is he
Message.
around? Probably he's not.